is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are St. Louis.
I want to wish a very happy Mother's Day to my mom, especially, and my wife, but all the other mothers out there that are doing such a great job raising their kids, getting their kids to practices and to all the different many places you got to get them to, and raising them up right in today's world is not easy, and you're doing a great job, and we love you for it. Thank you very much, moms everywhere.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, a beautiful afternoon. Mother's Day, game number 3, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. And a happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. And wherever you may be, sit back, relax, and enjoy some Cardinals baseball from the Gateway City. Yesterday for the St. Louis Cardinals, gave up a lead late, but then it was Matt Carpenter, his first ever walk-off homer. Cardinals have done that a bunch against the Pirates the last 3 years. Carpenter and the celebration at home plate to end game 2. And with Tim McCarver, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. And we've got a great matchup, Tim, here today. You've got 2 of the best young right-handers in all of baseball. Garrett Cole, a 19-game winner from a season ago, and the Cardinals' Michael Wacha.
Dueling celebrations. Yesterday a Cardinal win, and today Mother's Day, and the only thing to top that, a great pitching matchup, and Garrett Cole and Michael Wacha, certainly all of that. Wacha is getting, even though he was beaten by the Pirates earlier this year in game 2 of the season, he has pitched very, very well for his career against Pittsburgh.
Looking forward to this one. Michael Wacha, Garrett Cole, the Cardinals and the Pirates. Let's take a look at our Budweiser. What's on tap?
Welcome to Sunday Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. We are the Wolves. Today the Cardinals take on the Pirates. Go Cards!
Company, they are ready to go for Mother's Day. Many of the pink bats being used around Major League Baseball to raise awareness for breast cancer research. Happy Mother's Day from Sue Wano and Eugene Koo.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms of Cardinal Nation.
Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Chevrolet. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And here we go with our first pitch. Michael Wacha set to deliver to John Jaso. And it's taken for a ball. You'll notice today the uniforms across Major League Baseball as you get a look at the numbers for Michael Wacha this year. Some of the pink shoes or spikes. The Pittsburgh on the front in pink. The Cardinals wearing dark caps with the pink STL. That's all about moms and breast cancer awareness across Major League Baseball.
I was kidding Mike Matheny before the game. I saw him in his sweatshirt. Underneath it's all pink, and I said, boy, are you resplendent today. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Pink, the color of the day.
It's great what Major League Baseball has done with prostate cancer research for men.
Oh, yeah.
And breast cancer awareness and research for women. A lot of money has been raised. The 2-2 to John Jaso. Oh, what a play. Reaching out and taking a base hit away, Brandon Moss.
Well, that's a dandy play, because if that ball gets by Moss, Wong was there, but I'm not too sure Wacha would have beaten Jaso to the bag. Really a good play by Brandon Moss, and that long glove came in handy. Longest glove by any fielder as the first baseman's mitt.
We saw late in the game Matt Adams with a key play as that's ripped out to left field. Backing up to make the catch, Matt Holliday.
Wouldn't you know McCutcheon would hit a ball hard against Wacha.
Came in 11 for 19. Couple of doubles, a triple, and a home run. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense for the Cardinals. Holliday, Hazelbaker, Piscotty in the outfield. Carpenter, Diaz, Wong, and Moss on the infield. Molina behind the plate. Cardinals have committed 26 errors this year. most in Major League Baseball.
The pace, you know, we're talking about the pink shoes, Dan, and all that, and breast cancer awareness and all that. The pace of baseball is unto itself, right? I mean, the game just explodes with one good play and a line drive to left field.
There's Gregory Polanco.
Figure you're going to settle in, and you know, a little beautiful afternoon, and the whole baseball has a pace of its own.
We saw that in the first inning yesterday too.
Yeah,
with both teams first 4 reached as Waka delivers a strike, 1-1.
Game could have gotten out of hand early. Adam Wainwright righted himself, and the Cardinals won it in the 9th.
Here's a 1-1 to Polanco. Ground ball hit to second. There's Colton Wong, and a 1-2-3 start for Michael Waka. Mother's Day and a beautiful afternoon. Let's settle in. It's the Cards, it's the Pirates. Waka, Cole on Fox Sports Midwest. Here at the ballpark for Mother's Day with their moms and enjoying Major League Baseball, as Matt Carpenter will lead it off, followed by Stephen Piscotty and Matt Holliday, then Brandon Moss, Yadier Molina, Jeremy Hazelbaker, Aledmus Diaz, he's been red hot again, Colton Wong batting 8th, and the pitcher batting 9th, Michael Waka. This is a tough customer on the mound. Hard thrower Garrett Cole of the Pirates.
Hard thrower with a very good breaking ball. That's a pretty nasty combination to have to face.
Matt Carpenter, the walk-off homer yesterday, the 57th home run of his career. The first player in Cardinals history to hit a walk-off home run after having led off the game in the first inning with an extra base hit. First time that's ever happened in Cardinals history.
Oh, that's a good one.
Last player to do that in Major League Baseball happened 3 years ago. Angel Pagan did that with the San Francisco Giants. Here's a 1-1. Popped up left side, coming in a few steps, Starling Marte, Gold Glover a year ago for out number 1. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers around the horn. Marte in left, McCutcheon in center, Polanco is in right. David Freese at third base. Mercer, Harrison, Jay Sowell on the infield, and Chris Stewart gets the start behind the plate. Really nice ovation if you missed it yesterday for David Freese. He will be up second for the Pirates in the top of the second. And a strike to Stephen Piscotty. Tim, here is the top RBI producer for the Cardinals He hasn't been in the big leagues for a full year. Piscotty with 21 RBIs. He's driven in 13 in his last 15 games.
Put runners in scoring position, he lights up. He has been a killer RBI guy for the Cardinals.
Outfield straight away, the 1-2 pitch.
I think ultimately I can see Stephen Piscotty be a 3rd or 4th place hitter.
Absolutely.
Or a 5th place hitter. He, more than any other Cardinal, can hit any spot in the order.
The 2-2. Mike Matheny asked before the game, what is it about Stephen Piscotty? Why does he thrive in these situations? And he said it's maturity. He said he's just a little bit older than his age, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. I concur with that too.
Just has a good understanding of what a pitcher's trying to do against him, the adjustments inside the at-bat.
Yes.
The 2-2 again. On deck, Holiday. And the 3-2 pitch. Lifted in the air, down the right field line. Drops in for a base hit. Right in front of Gregory Polanco. What does Garrett Cole feature? As Tim said, a great fastball, averages about 95 miles an hour. And this is a look at our Hyundai pitch arsenal.
You know, Dan, when you think about all the hits that you see, that was a slider and a mistake. It was a backup slider right around the letters. Didn't do what Cole wanted it to do, but it was effective in that it jammed Piscotty. He jammed himself and ended up with a flare base hit. One of the toughest pitches to hit in the game is a backup slider.
Holiday, good numbers against this right-hander, 7 for 15 with 2 doubles.
If that's the case, why don't more pitchers throw backup sliders?
And for those who don't know what a backup slider is, tell us.
I was going to.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
No, you're not. Said from a right-handed pitcher, a ball that is designed to go down and away to a right-handed hitter stays in the middle of the plate. I'm not sure it breaks both ways, going down and then straightening out, but more than any other thing, the natural course of the spin that usually takes it away, for whatever physics reason, allows it to stay straight. So the hitter picks that up, the spin of it, and goes out and ends up hitting the ball on the handle or the how about that?
That was stolen against Garrett Cole as Piscotty started running before Cole even delivered to the plate.
Well, guys, there was even no play on him. Look at this. Pitcher's idea is to make him stop. Had he thrown over there at that time, Piscotty's in the easy out. But we hope that at least starts the path of your understanding about what a backup slider is. A very difficult pitch to hit and throw.
Here's a 2-2. And Holiday waves at it. He strikes out. Ball gets away from Stewart. And Piscotty advances to third.
How about putting the stolen base in proper order right there? If the stolen base doesn't happen and Piscotty's on at first base, then Holiday's a strikeout victim and can advance to first base. And Piscotty's still there. But now it's first and third because of the stolen base. Thanks to Piscotty.
The stolen base for Steven, by the way, number 2. So Holiday and Piscotty aboard for Brandon Moss, who's hitting .220. You know, we saw in the game yesterday Adam Wainwright, after the first inning, get locked in. This is one of your better opportunities you may have of the afternoon against a guy like Garrett Cole. So make the most of it. With the alignment currently constructed right now for the Pirates, they can't shift. Normally they would against Brandon Moss, but runners at first and third. More of the traditional defense here against the Cardinal first baseman. 1 ball, 1 strike. Outfield is deep.
How to make contact in this situation. Brandon Moss, 30 strikeouts on the year, 86 at bats. Ranch Ricky used to say 3 little words: a good ball.
Moss popped up, out of play. Crowd still filing in. It'll be well above 40,000 here today at Busch Stadium.
Cole, a good enough pitcher and obviously intelligent enough to realize he needs a strikeout right here. And the pitch that Brandon Moss swung and missed was a 1 ball, no strike slider down in the dirt. I think he'll see that again.
They want to go up the ladder and inside. Against the Cardinals, and this includes the postseason, Garrett Cole, 10 starts, a record of 5-4, and a 2.83 ERA. Cardinals didn't see him that first series in Pittsburgh as he was dealing with a soreness and was pushed back. It was on his side. Hit out of play. His last start, the worst start of the season for Garrett Cole, 4 2/3, 5 earned, and that was against the Chicago Cubs. But his first start, very typical of what he's done in his career. He was solid with an ERA around 2. It's another 2-2 pitch to Brandon Moss. Got him with the breaking ball. Missouri Lottery Fox tracks as we take a look at the last pitch.
So different from that slider he saw earlier in the count. That ball starting away off the plate. Garrett Cole can do that to a hitter, particularly a left-handed hitter. That breaking ball was fierce.
One of the oddities of Garrett Cole and this season has been what he's been able to do, or not do, we should say, with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Opponents hitting close to 500 against him.
Yeah. It's one of those nuances of pitching about a very, very good pitcher. I mean, here's a guy who won 19 games last year. Might show itself in a 6 or 7 game span, but not over the course of a season.
Molina has been a workhorse this year, Tim, and we thought it would be limited, especially in the first month of the season, how much playing time he would get. Well, he started 9 in a row and leads baseball with 30 games behind the plate. Good breaking ball, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I was thinking about this with the problems David Ortiz, or Big Papi of the Red Sox, had with the umpire the other night. The strike zone, run from a game. Molina is more Big Papi than Big Papi. He's just not named Big Papi. He's reliable. It's every day. It's not every other day. It's not 120 game schedule, but more 140 game schedule. Only game he did not start, not participate in, was the opening game of this homestand against Washington.
probably the only reason he did is because the club got back into St. Louis around 6 in the morning.
Yeah, if anybody needed a rest, it was Molina.
The 2-2 pitch to Yadier Molina. Now time is called. The umpires, by the way, Tim, excuse me, have been switched up for today. The crew chief is now Greg Gibson. Ed Hickox is at third. Mike Estabrook at first, and Tom Woodring was brought in. He's at second base. Remember the injury we saw with Mike DeMuro last night or yesterday afternoon. The 2-2.
Well, this gives us a chance in the bottom of the first, without malice, talking about the ridiculousness of pitch count. Cole's thrown 27 pitches. What's the score? 0-0.
In on his hands.
Well, it's a tough pitch right there. That ball riding up and in on Molina. Yadi earmarked to hit the ball to right field in this at bat with 2 strikes. Hard thrower.
The 2-2 again. They talk about Garrett Cole on the days that he's scheduled to pitch. You better not approach him, talk to him, look at him.
It's like a Penguins game, right?
He was going nuts the other night. Did you see that?
He had to be reprimanded by security watching a Penguins game.
The 3-2, Molina spoiled it. Penguins are still in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, the Blues are. They'll play tomorrow night here in town and try to close out their series. It was the Washington Capitals against the Penguins who won last night, but Garrett Cole was near the ice and near the glass and was going crazy, and people loved it. And they finally said, hold on here, man.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Gotta love the passion.
The 3-2 taken high. It's a walk and a chance for Jeremy Hazelbaker. You know, we had that shot of Mike Matheny as Clint Hurdle is grabbing some of his notes, but Hazelbaker sent one to the wall as a pinch hitter late in the game last night. We thought that Mike Matheny was going nuts because of a celebration potentially of a home run.
Yes.
He said that wasn't it. He said he was screaming at Aledmys Diaz to get back at first base and tag up on the play. That's what he wanted. All for naught, as the Cardinals eventually would win the game with the walk-off.
That escaped me. That escaped me.
Yeah.
The importance of that.
You know, the other thing that escaped me too was the play by Adams. Now, we talked about it at the time when he went to second base to get that man and took a chance. It was a risky play.
Yes.
But if you remember, later in the inning, ground rule double, that runner would score. All of a sudden, the Pirates would have had a 1-run lead. That was a big play by Matt Adams.
Yes, it was. How cautious and tentative he was in going to second base and making sure of one.
So 2 outs, bases loaded, and a strike to Jeremy Hazelbaker.
What the National League has figured out with Hazelbaker is if you get ahead with 2 strikes, you try to go up the ladder on him. Try to finish him off with a fastball upstairs. Like that.
Inning started with a fly out by Carpenter, base hit by Piscotty. Holiday struck out, but the ball scooted away. Moss struck out, walked to Molina. 3 pitches, see you later. Hazelbaker strikes out. And the Cardinals strand, the bases loaded. We head to the second. David Freese is coming up. Clint Hurdle today. Jaso, McCutchen, Polanco. Marte leads it off this inning, followed by David Freese. Then Harrison, Mercer, Stewart, and the pitcher Cole. Some Pirates fans here in attendance, as the interest of Pirates baseball certainly has picked up after all the losing seasons. 2 decades, and then they got good.
That's a thing to do now in Pittsburgh, is go to a Bucks game.
Love the ballpark there.
Beautiful.
Tremendous.
Beautiful. Overlooking the confluence of the Monongahela and the Allegheny to form the Ohio. Downtown Pittsburgh, the point there.
Starling Marte, he is 10th in the league in hitting at .325. He has the most doubles with 11. That's a good changeup
there, boy.
Everything off the fastball, and the fastball has been better and better and better as we go along.
Another one.
First strikeout for Michael Wacha.
Fastball about half the time. The cutter and the fastball thrown at about the same speed. You sacrifice a little bit with the cutter. But David Freese, another moment frozen in St. Louis.
A better moment than yesterday.
Yes, yes. Excellent point.
Crucial spot in the game, used as a pinch hitter, coming back from a commercial break for us, and everybody knew that he was due up second. What an ovation for David Freese. Ground ball hit left side. Now sit out, Freese. I don't mean that, Tim.
Our love is fleeting.
Talking with David before the game, he is engaged to a St. Louis girl. He said, as far as his personal life, it's the happiest he's ever been.
Oh, boy, is that nice to hear. Had some personal problems there for a couple of years.
I'm telling you, Tim, in terms of popularity, for a guy that's not a Hall of Famer. He's as popular as a player you'll find in any city, and he handles it with such grace.
Such aplomb. You're right.
There's a ground ball that's hit to second.
Think about it. It's for what he did. Herculean in the eyes of Cardinal fans.
Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. I'll give you an example about David Freese. We were together at a concert a couple of years ago and just talking in the concourse, and the place was packed, and he was wearing a hat, and all of a sudden people started to notice, wait a minute, that's David Freese over there. He couldn't get back inside the concert to watch it because so many people were asking for pictures and autographs, and that's hit down the left field line by Diaz and yanked foul.
Was it at the Fox Theater or someplace like that?
It was at Chaffetz Arena. So big place, big venue. And not once did he complain. And I said to him, do you want me to try to get security and get you out of here so you can go enjoy the concert? He was with his mom. And he said, no. He said, I'm good with it. I deal with it. I'm happy to do it. And he said, if I didn't hit that home run, no one would care anyway. So I'm going to take it in, and these people are a part of me. This is where I'm from. This is very important to me to make their day. And he meant it. He was genuine about it. And he sat out there for, I would say, 30-35 minutes as we talked, signing autographs and taking pictures. He's a class individual.
Yes, he is.
Not many would do that. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Diaz. Puts it in play, and there's David Freese. 1 away.
Some, for whatever reason, after a moment like that, they are badgered to the point of arrogance. That will never happen to David Freese. Never. You say that with all the confidence in the world.
I've never seen him turn down an autograph, never seen him turn down a picture or an opportunity for someone to shake his hand. It's one of those moments as a St. Louisan, you know where you're at when he hit the home run or the triple.
Absolutely.
Here's Colton Wong, who sat the first 2 games against lefties. Been an up and down start for the Cardinals, and I look at 4 guys that if they get going, watch out. This is one of them. I'd say Randall Grichuk would be there, Mike Leake, and Adam Wainwright. But those are 4 players that can really turn the fortunes of this team one way or another. As Wong bounces it to short, Jordy Mercer 2 down. It's back, Cardinals fans. The refreshing taste of the frozen strawberry lemonade. It's available all summer long, and it's only at McDonald's. Two outs, and it brings in the pitcher, Michael Wacha.
It's an interesting windup from Garrett Cole. He starts into it and then almost readies himself with that right leg. There's that hesitation where he sets himself.
Very simple.
Wacha
very simple too.
Pitchers call that backloading. Backloads on that back leg.
Here's a 1-2. Backloads. Here it comes. And a strikeout. That's number 4 today. We played 2 innings from St. Louis, and there's no score.
I was always there at baseball games, always the loudest one in the stands cheering us on, me and my brother. And you know, no matter the situation in life, she just always was there to console us like a mother would. And very grateful to have a mother as great as her, and love her and love you, Mom, and happy Mother's Day.
Well, you talk to any player, and it seems like they all say, man, my mom spent so much time in a car taking me to practice.
In this day and age, that was not so when I was a little leaguer back in Memphis in the early 50s, late 40s, might say late 40s, early 50s. Used to hitchhike everywhere.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
People actually picked you up.
Usually I was with another guy, but that's when hitchhiking was fashionable and people realized that most families had one car. Our car was a 47 Hudson and then a 49 Pontiac.
My poor mother spent probably more time in her car than she has anywhere else, taking us everywhere.
Good pitch from Wacha. Good fastball. Fastball location has just been superb through the first 2+ innings.
Here's a 1-2. The changeup. It's strikeout number 2 for Michael Wacha. Let's turn to Tim's Toyota key to the game.
Appropriately, Mother's Day bill of fare is pitching. Good pitching matchup today.
Tim, you brought up something interesting last inning with Garrett Cole and his delivery. Pretty simple. Same can be said here for Michael Wacha. Very, very simple to the plate. The back load and go.
Well, you see how Wacha also has the hands right at the belt. That was a precursor to holding the hands right there as opposed to above the head in a total windup. Was Billy Moffitt, a pitching coach in the late 60s. And the one guy he helped about as well as anybody was Nelson Briles. Dick Hughes was another. Dick won 16 games in 1967. And another guy that just helped his control. That was the major thing, keeping Dick out of the big leagues. And putting the hands, it's the old Sinatra tune, I concentrate on you. You just concentrate more on the focus of the fastball. You may sacrifice a little bit. That's an arguable point too, but you may sacrifice a little on the fastball, but you control much better.
I talked to Mike Matheny about this in spring training. This is Chris Stewart, by the way, at the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He said one of his biggest pet peeves in the game is the windup. He said, the
hands over the head.
Yeah, he said, as you see the ground ball hit to Cold Wong, he said, I haven't seen any analytical evidence or studies that tell me. And he said, I'm open to it, but I haven't seen it to where if you go above the head and rock back far, that you're going to get more velocity. So we're teaching our guys to really simplify the delivery to the plate. A good example would be Trevor Rosenthal, who's ditched the windup and exclusively working from the stretch.
And that's a guy that's been helped more than any other Cardinal pitcher by Derek Lilliquist, who is very helpful and a smart guy and runs a cool ship as far as the pitchers are concerned. Very, very respected.
0-2 on Garrett Cole, who is 1 for 11 this year. But the changeup of Michael Wacha is made effective because of the fastball.
Well, an example of that was yesterday. One too many changeups from the right-hander A.J. Sugar of the Pirates, and Matt Carpenter won the game with a home run.
2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 today. And speaking of Carpenter, he leads it off when we come back. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Quality, reliability, and value. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Happy Mother's Day to my mother Jane, who never misses a word that Tim McCarver says. I know she's watching right now.
You old smoothie, you.
And happy Mother's Day to my wife, lovely wife Libby. 4 kids. It's a zoo at our house, but not quite to the level it could be if she wasn't around.
Mom can be a zookeeper at times, right?
Oh man, I'd say so. Kubota Power Stats. The Cardinals hitting home runs, a bunch of them this year. That's a bit surprising. Most home runs, by the way, by a leadoff man since 2013, and that's the Cardinals, and majority of those Carpenter with 53. Carpenter was pretty close yesterday to being ejected. He was really frustrated with the home plate umpire. And there were some on the Cardinals that later told me they pulled him aside and said, you have to stay in this game. Do not get ejected.
That game might be still going on had Matt been ejected.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He flied out to left first time. Garrett Cole, the #1 overall pick in the country out of UCLA back in the 2011 draft. A tremendous 3 seasons with the Bruins. The 2-2 pitch. Carpenter rips it off the glove of Harrison and into center field.
See, that's a backup slider that Carpenter caught up with. It allowed Carpenter the extension of the bat through the strike zone just a little more. Ball hit hard. I mean, really hard. You know, I take that back. I thought it was a backup slider. It was a fastball. To err is human, partner.
But I will say this, you were spot on. That ball was hard hit.
It was hard hit, but wrong pitch.
Here's Piscotty, and he fouls it back.
You mentioned UCLA, and of course, when you think about UCLA, you think about California, and you think about California, you think about Stanford. So a UCLA grad facing a Stanford grad here, and Garrett Cole engaged to a lady who went to UCLA, and that is the sister. She is the sister of Brandon Crawford, the shortstop of the Giants, who come in here on the first weekend in June.
See, it all ties in. As Piscotty picks up a base hit into shallow right.
Let me tell you about the offspring of those two, Brandon Crawford and Garrett Cole. His fiancee, a gymnast at UCLA and borderline Olympic material. So that's going to be some family when they have children, one would think, with those genes.
Runners at first and second. Here's Holliday. Mother's Day always special for all of us, but for Matt Holliday, his mom has been dealing with cancer, colon cancer, so he's using the pink bat to raise awareness and cancer research in the spikes and also the batting gloves. I asked Matt one time about his mother, and he said she was influential in the fact that it was always important, end of the day, dinner time at our household. That was when everybody, no matter where we were in our lives with baseball, and his brother and his dad have been longtime coaches in the college level, but they all got together, and also in the recruitment process of Matt Holliday. As he chops it towards third, frees to second, out there and out at first. It's a double play. 5-4-3 on the double play.
Talked about it last night with Yadier Molina. Runners on at first and second, nobody out. I think Mike Matheny should start employing a version of a hit and run with Holiday and Molina in particular, with runners on at first and second, nobody out. I mean, what price glory? I don't think you lose anything if you get a pitcher who's always around the plate, who's not going to throw a ball out of the strike zone at that time. You can depend, and you get a favorable count from a hitter. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, like send the runners, and that in doing that you stay out of the double play.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Something was a little bit off after the first pitch to Brandon Moss. Cole was slow to receive the ball. Chris Stewart looked at him, then looked in the dugout, looked back at Cole to see if he was all right. And then he was playing with the dirt. Sets pulled down the right field line and foul, but then playing in the dirt to where his landing foot would be. Just something to keep an eye on.
Well, you got a guy again 6'1.5", and you've got Michael Wacha 6'5.5". So the landing spot, obviously, as you had a shot at Ray Searage, the pitching coach of the Pirates, but the landing spot for the two are going to be different. One with the longer stride, Wacha.
Two and one the count. The shift being used here by the Pirates, and that's ripped fair into the corner in right field. Moss has given the Cardinals a lead with a double to score Matt Carpenter. 1-0 St. Louis.
Had to talk to Matt or to Brandon later and ask him if he was looking for that pitch. A good time to look for it because it was 2 balls and a strike. And remember, that's a pitch that he swung and missed on his first time up, and also the pitch he took down the pipe. So to look for it would make sense as Moss drives in the first run of the game. Watch where this pitch is. Slider, middle of the plate, hammered by Moss.
Here's Molina, and he looks at a strike.
Do hitters guess? I guess they guess. That was Ted Williams' reply when asked if he guessed. He said, "Do you guess?" I guess.
How many guys do you think guess?
Everybody. If you don't guess a particular pitch, you look for in an area where you commit, and you can do that when you're ahead of the count. By a pitcher getting ahead of you, that prevents you from doing that.
And a grounder that's hit to short. Mercer up with it. Over to Jaso. A 2-out double by Brandon Moss. 4th double of the season to drive in Matt Carpenter. It all smiles on this Sunday afternoon. 1-0 St. Louis. Midwest, the Blues and Bud Light have joined together for playoff rallies before every home game. Get to the game early, enjoy live music and prizes, and support the Blues for Kids Foundation and Girls on the Run with your purchase of Brian Elliott Moose Playoff Beads. Visit the Fox Sports Midwest Rally tent before the game. Join us at the rally tomorrow night to cheer on the Blues. Game time at 7 tomorrow here in St. Louis. Off day for the Cardinals as John Jaso looks at strike one from Michael Wacha. The Cardinals head out west, take on Albert Pujols and the Angels, and then we'll see the Dodgers as Jaso pulls it foul. That Angels team right now is in big trouble.
Talk about a foundering franchise.
There was even talk, and who knows where it comes from, but even talk of the idea of trading Mike Trout. As Jaso breaks his bat, and a base hit over Carpenter. First hit allowed by Michael Wacha. Arcia in the driver's seat. Andrew McCutcheon, who lined out to left his first time up. Very good numbers against Wacha, and so does the man on deck, Gregory Polanco. So 2 and 3 in this lineup, a key for Michael Wacha today.
I think nonsense like that always follows a team around when they start losing and go through a periodic bad spell. Also, and you never know where those stupid rumors ever come from. From stupid people most of the time.
Here's McCutcheon. You know, Trout his numbers down a little bit, but not much. And I think where you're.
Would I take him? Try me.
Oh, what do you want?
What do you want?
Right.
How much?
And maybe that's where it comes from. They have a poor farm system right now.
Yeah.
Ranked by many to be in the bottom. It looks like they're going to have at least one, maybe two, go out with Tommy John surgery in the rotation. And then you also have the Albert Pujols contract, which is now heading towards the middle of that deal, which could be, let's face it, an albatross for that franchise, potentially. A 2-0 pitch to McCutcheon.
You know, that's an interesting thing, because I think from a Cardinals standpoint, you look back and think, what if Albert had accepted our offer? Where would we be right now? Similar to the Angels?
Well, I can answer a couple of those.
Okay, do it.
The guy on the mound wouldn't be here. That's Michael Wacha. Your right fielder would not
be
be
drafted
here.
by somebody else, and so would the Scotty.
There's a broken bat and a base hit out to left. So those were compensatory picks for the loss of Pujols. And I'll take it a step further. With Alan Craig, Yadier Molina, and Adam Wainwright, they all received extensions at the time. So one of those three would not have been around. Craig obviously is with the Red Sox organization now, but in particular, Wainwright, Molina, would have been very tough to sign both of them if you dedicated $200+ million to Albert Pujols.
It's a game changer. Right man.
I mean, think about that.
No,
it's a game changer.
I am.
First two have reached, and now here's Polanco. Rounded out to second, his first time up. Speaking of Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina went into the dugout after inning number 3 yesterday and told the Cardinals staff, this guy is locked in. He's back to where he was before. I think we saw that too, and I think Wainwright is sick of hearing about, well, are you close? Are you getting there? Are you making steps? You know, he looked good yesterday.
He did. Best outing of the year. Even though he didn't get a win.
Now time called. Count of 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 on, nobody out.
That's a pitch Polanco can't handle. See, and it's not a double play ball. Several reasons. Gregory does not hit into a lot of double plays. Number one, he can fly. Number two, you have to pitch him up.
Low ball hitter.
Absolutely.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Waka gets the strikeout, number 4 today. Chevy Fox tracks on the previous pitch by Michael Waka.
Right around the belt, from the belt to the letters with the fastball. Place to pitch him. Good pitch by Waka.
Tim, how about the downward plane that Waka has?
Well, as we said, the tilt of a pitcher like that makes it easier for him to get hitters out, but it also makes it easier for him to keep the ball down.
A little bit high to Starling Marte.
Michael Waka does not have a double play ball. Now, he may get a double play on a ground ball occasionally, but he's not a double play pitcher. He's not a guy who keeps the ball down successfully. He gets a lot of outs on pitches above the waist, like that pitch to Polanco.
Little cutter there, 1 ball, 1 strike. Michael Waka has been a tough luck loser his last 2 starts against Arizona and Washington. His last start, 1 run over 8 innings and a 1-0 shutout by the Phillies. This year 2-2 with a 2.65 ERA at the start of play. And he got no run support in that start in Arizona, a game that we did, and he pitched very well.
I think most hitters, though, back to your point about tilt and about pitching, it's almost like he's pitching from a higher mound. Like the mound's much higher for him than it is for normal pitchers. So an advantage.
Here's a 1-2. First start of the season for Michael Waka was against the Pirates. You may remember that. Very cold day. And he gave up 4 earned in 4 1/3. But the key in that start would have been different for him and the Cardinals if a double play would have been turned behind him and it wound up being an error on Aledmys Diaz. And he would have been out of that inning and threw 5 and unscathed. That is a concern for the Cardinals right now. The errors, most in baseball with 26, most by any shortstop. Diaz with 6, but it's getting better and better the last couple of weeks. He did have an error yesterday, but boy, he's made up with it with his bat. Can't take him out of the lineup.
I was going to say, I didn't mean to change the subject, but this Marte during this series has been just a ridiculously tough out. Had it bad he had against Trevor Rosenthal yesterday. Boy, it's one that'll stick with you. Finally doubles to tie the game. Ground ruler, thankfully, for the Cardinals.
The 2-2 pitch from Michael Waka. Got him with a changeup. Back-to-back strikeouts. Speaking of defense, compared to the great Ozzie Smith, and you see it there, the Cardinals shortstops in 2016 with 11 errors. And Ozzie.
Now the brilliance of Whitey Herzog when he said Ozzie Smith prevents 100 runs a year. Some other guys drive in 100 runs a year, so why shouldn't he make the big money?
Freeze, a ground ball to Diaz, and a force play at second. The first 2 reached, and then with 3, 4, and 5 coming up, Waka gets 2 strikeouts and a ground out.
Hi, I'm Chris Maloney from the St. Louis Cardinals. I'd like to wish all the moms out there a very happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Chris Maloney, the longtime minor league coach and now working at third base, as we got news that Jose Oquendo will no longer be with the Cardinals, at least the big league club this year, may return next year. And Chris tells us that his mother watches every game. Told a story about Chris the other day in Arizona. He got the nickname Hammer growing up because he just hammered the baseball everywhere in Legion play. And it stuck with him through college at Mississippi State. Said he's the only guy that put Will Clark on the bench. Will Clark had arrived at Mississippi State. Chris said he played the first 40 games ahead of Will Clark, got hurt. But he was the guy that kept Will Clark on the bench. So if Chris Maloney's mom is watching, we appreciate you watching every day. And happy Mother's Day. Inside to Hazelbaker, who struck out looking with the bases loaded back in the first inning. Mentioned earlier that Gerrit Cole was the #1 overall pick in 2011. He was originally drafted by the Yankees out of high school with the 28th pick overall, but decided to go to college. And did that despite the fact that he grew up a huge Yankees fan. His dad was from upstate New York. His favorite team growing up, the New York Yankees. And as a matter of fact, in 2001, one of the New York papers had a picture of Gerrit Cole with a sign that read, "Yankee fan today, Yankee fan tomorrow, Yankee fan all my life." And yet he turned down the Yankees and becomes the #1 overall pick with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
After more seasoning at UCLA.
1-0 the count on Aledmys Diaz. What a start to his career at the big league level it has been.
Ooh, that was a tight, nasty slider right at the knees. That's the poster boy for all sliders in the history of pitching right there.
He'll get another one right here. Just how good has the Cardinals shortstop been? Here's some of the numbers. Right now he's percentage points ahead of Daniel Murphy for the batting title at .402 at the start of play. 3rd in runs, 6th in hits. He's the best against right-handed pitching in the league. He's 6th in on-base percentage, and he leads in slugging percentage. He's 20 points ahead of Yoenis Cespedes. It's incredible.
It really is.
Now a 2-2. Hits it sharply to third. Freeze makes the play. And when he makes an out, hits the ball hard. 6 is a serious number.
Often.
And on the run, when the Cardinals score 6, any size drink just 50 cents the next day. That's coffee fountain frozen drinks. When they score, you pour at your nearest On the Run.
Ted Williams used to talk about before you make your approach toward the pitcher, are your hands relaxed? Can I come along and lift the bat out of your hands? They firm up on contact, and that's what Colton Wong is doing right now. He's more relaxed with the bat flat.
Back to Cole. He'll underhand to first to Jaso.
And it's not going to come overnight. He's got to stay with it. And I think he looks like he's much more relaxed. He's 0 for 2 today, but it'll come.
1-0 Cardinals. Top of the 5th. Rolls in where the strikes have come from. The swings and misses. Good pitchers duel here today. Cole has 19 strikes looking.
Wow. Boy, is that a telltale stat of a guy's stuff. That's through 4 innings. Are you kidding me?
Pretty good.
Whew.
It's warming up here in St. Louis, so get the ice cream ready. I'll tell you what, that guy's got some talent. He had, I think, 3 or 4 that he brought back. Didn't drop one. And a high fly ball lifted into right, calling for it, Piscotty. Look at the bullpen right now, the Cardinals. It looks like an exercise class going on.
That's the yoga, pre-game yoga, during the game yoga.
Okay, ladies, let's start stretching.
Get your Lululemons on and go to work.
We'll start spinning class in 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute warning. You ever done a spinning class?
No.
Those are hard.
Tell me about it. I've seen people on those spinners, and I'll guarantee you, boy, they work hard. Yoga's hard.
You're a big
Kidding me?
yoga guy.
I am. I've been falling by the wayside the last year and a half, I might add. I've slackened my approach. But I do believe it is a very, very healthy way to stay in shape.
You know, we've been working together now a handful of years, and I've always wanted to ask you if you've, because it was always on the tip of my tongue and really thinking about it all the time, watching you on the national games. You know, how's that hot yoga going? But you don't do hot yoga, just regular yoga.
The hot yoga to which you refer is Yasmani. Yasmani yogurt.
Bikram?
Yogurt. I'll be all right.
I like good yogurt too.
Oh,
Mix
that
a little granola.
Yasmani yogurt's the best. Now that's when it's 110 degrees.
Yeah.
And you do yoga. I've never done that. I'm not too sure my heart would stand up to
It's an absolute delight, Tim, let me tell you.
Yeah.
May 22nd, kids 15 and younger receive the performance t-shirt courtesy of the Pasta House. I want to mention a special Mother's Day to Megan Eberhardt. Megan works in our front office, and she's the one that puts together a lot of the promotional items. Goes through all the different prototypes and comes up with some of the theme nights and how they tie into Cardinals history. So Megan, happy Mother's Day, your first, and great to have you back in the office. She's done a terrific job with these, really has, and deserves a lot of credit. Cardinals have upped the promotional giveaways by 5,000 this year. It's about 30,000 on any particular night with the giveaways. Used to be 25, and response of the fans has been great, and a lot of that is due in part to what Megan has put together. Another great year of giveaways here at the ballpark. 0-2 the count. One ball, 2 strikes on Chris Stewart. Grounded out to second. There was a catcher in Pittsburgh that this guy reminds me of, at least by his facial appearance. That's Jason Kendall.
Bulldog of a catcher.
Sure was. Grounded fair and past Carpenter down into the corner. Mercer on his way to third. They'll wave him in, and he will score. And this game is tied. Chris Stewart a double to tie the game up at 1.
Now Matt Holliday had to determine whether to be aggressive toward the wall, ball near the wall. Awfully difficult play for any outfielder. And that slight delay, and third base coach Rick Sofeld of the Pirates waved Mercer home. Pretty easy play when you're, but there's that play. You don't know whether it's going to carry him off or stay near the wall and hug the wall, making it difficult for Holliday.
And the walk comes around to score.
Yep, they usually do.
Now Cole showing bunt, throw down to second. Stewart back in safely.
Why would you show bunt in a situation like this when you got one out? I mean,
let him swing.
So you're moving him to third base? I think that was a decoy. And if it wasn't, it should have been.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Yeah, you get 2 cracks at it with a guy in scoring position, you go for it.
Well, sure.
Mentioned that Garrett Cole was part of the 2011 draft, and that year the Cardinals selected Colton Wong. Wong was taken 22nd overall. Another player from that draft was a high school outfielder for the Cardinals, Charlie Tilson, who we saw a lot in spring and is off to a very good start in the minor leagues, and at some point may be up here in the big leagues. Great speed. The strikeout of Garrett Cole. Another player that comes to mind down in the minor leagues making an impression early on, according to John Mozeliak, has been Dean Kekeffer, a lefty specialist who has a 0 ERA currently. Strikeout number 6 for Waka, and here's Jaso.
If I were a scout, I'd put more emphasis on left-handed pitching. They can do more with less than right-handers.
That's what Kekeffer has done. Not overpowering, but against lefties, he's tough. Jaso 1 for 2, picked up the first hit for the Pirates back in the 4th. Pulls it foul.
Hey, this John Jaso's become a more powerful hitter. I don't remember the ball jumping off his bat like we've seen in these 3 games, the first 3 games of the year.
The idea when they brought him to Pittsburgh was all about on-base percentage. He had a .431 on-base percentage in his first 15 games. His last 12 games, by the way, his batting average is well below 200. And come into this series struggling. Two and two.
Hazelbaker in center moved about 4 steps to his left. That would be toward right center field. It's unusual for a center fielder to play a guy a shade to pull with 2 strikes, because the good hitters are more inclined to make contact and sacrifice pulling the ball. But he's toward right center as we speak.
The 2-2 pitch. Inside. The next 2, Jaso. We'll do it again. 3-2 pitch. And Jaso hits a fly ball out to deep right field. This is trouble. And it's gone. John Jaso, his third home run, and the Pirates have their first lead today. As you said, you don't remember that power. Well, we're seeing it here in this series with the ball jumping off his bat.
Not only the power, but the ability to stay on every pitch. Fouling off a number of pitches until he got a high fastball. That ball just cleared the right field fence.
All of a sudden, this crowd is quiet.
Home run number 4 given up by Michael this year.
Here's a 1-0 to McCutchen. 2 balls, no strikes. McCutchen is lined out and singled. Two and two. How close was it to stay in the ballpark? Just over the wall, inches. Another home run for Robinson Cano today. He's now tied for the league lead with Nolan Arenado with 12. That is hammered down the left field line, hooking and foul.
Ooh, that's Billet. That is the middle of Big Mac land. Woo. Not a just make it. I mean, that ball was just crushed.
Mention the numbers. If you include today, now 12 for 21 against Michael Wacha. That's well hit. Center field. Hazelbaker is there to make the catch. The Pirates pick up 3. They pick up a lead as we move to the bottom of inning number 5. Coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. David Price, 31 earned allowed. Most in baseball, but his record stands at 4-1, ERA close to 7. Bartolo Colon, if you missed it late last night, the oldest player to hit his first career home run at 42 years young. He'll turn 43 on May 24th. And then Clayton Kershaw, 10 or more strikeouts in his last 4 starts. That ties the team record with Hideo Nomo, by the way, and Sandy Koufax of the Dodgers. Oldest player, by the way, to hit a home run was Julio Franco. Did that back in 2007. He was 48. 48. Cologne with a home run last night.
Oh, boy.
And still effective, by the way, on the mound.
Yeah. Mets leaders in home runs. Cardinals are second in baseball entering today.
His at-bats have become an event unto its own. Watching Bartolo Colon. As Walker hits it out of play, looking for his first hit of the year. 0 for 13. Walker, then Carpenter and Piscotty. And a strikeout number 6 today for Garrett Cole. Well, Tim mentioned it last year. He was a 19-game winner. Cole went 19-8. And those 19 wins, 5th most for the franchise in the last 50 years. Doug Drabek had the most wins ever by a Pirates starter with 22 back in 1990. That year he won the Cy Young Award. That was the most wins since John Smiley had 20 back in 1991. The big, tall lefty of the Pirates.
Might see Matt take another pitch with the Cardinals trailing by 2, trying to fight his way on there for the top of the order. Piscotty on deck. Give him a chance to be wild. Thus far, he's shown no inkling of leaning that way. This guy with that great compact delivery, huh?
The first 4 starts for Michael Wacha, the Cardinals scored 30 runs in those games. They've been shut out in his last 2. And the 3-1 pitch.
Something over which you have no control.
Taken low and a walk. The second issued by Cole, and the tying run comes to the plate. Saturday, May 21st, 30,000 fans ages 16 and older will be a big hit in their new adult Cardinals pullover. This quarter zip short sleeve pullover features a bird on the bat logo, and you can get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Stephen Piscotty is the oldest of 3 boys, and I know his mom Gretchen is watching today. I asked Stephen, I said, what was the greatest contribution your mom made in your baseball career? And he said to stay in school and play baseball at Stanford, even though he had a chance to go pro. I'd say things worked out quite well for Stephen Piscotty.
Yes, they have.
She said that she used to go to work to relax and get away from the boys.
Understandable.
Oh, yeah. Stephen is 2 for 2 today. Pair of base hits into right.
Stephen does have a regal carriage, if you will, or carriage. I asked him earlier in the year, I said, anybody ever call you Steve? Stephen's more the formal name.
Piscotty. Fly ball right center. Polanco with the catch. That great speed of the trio that they have in that outfield.
You're not going to have many balls fall in between that threesome.
So what did he say?
Stephen said, some of my real close friends call me Steve. I said, but otherwise it's Stephen. He said, yes.
That sounds like a guy from Stanford, though. I mean,
Yes.
you go to Stanford, you're.
There are a lot of Stevens from Stanford.
Right. Not a lot of Bubbas.
No.
Here's Holiday. Bounced into a double play in the third and then struck out in the first. 0 for 2 today. It's been 3 weeks since the last home run for Matt Holliday. 1-0 pitch. That pitch at 97 from Cole. We mentioned he's a hard thrower. 4th hardest average velocity with the fastball among starters. How about Noah Syndergaard? How filthy is that guy? He throws 98 with his fastball. That's the average. They call him Thor with the Mets. Ground ball that's hit to short. Mercer will step on the bag. Cardinals strand a runner. They've left 2 on today, and we played 5 on this Mother's Day. Pittsburgh on top, 3-1.
Hi, I'm Eric Fryer, the St. Louis Cardinals. Just want to wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day.
Seemed pretty heartfelt. Well, our score is 3-1 in favor of the Pirates. And it'll be Polanco, Marte, and Freese. Polanco is grounded out and also struck out. Polanco did this yesterday. And that protective gear on the elbow and then threw it out. Marte did the same thing. It's nothing like what we saw with Craig Biggio and Barry Bonds and that protective gear that they used to wear.
Armor.
Then because of those two, Major League Baseball instituted a rule that reduced the size of that gear. The 2-0 pitch. did not go.
They dressed as though they should have been in King Arthur's court.
You're seeing the Monty Python.
I was thinking of that too.
It's only a flesh wound.
Popped up. Going out, Aledmys Diaz. And it seems like a perfect segue. If you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, and stream the Cardinals wherever you go. So Polanco is hitless. Marte is struck out twice, 0 for 2. Boy, these two teams are about as evenly matched as you get, and the numbers bear that out. Cardinals play well at home against the Pirates. Pirates play well at home against St. Louis. Here at home, last 30 games, the Cardinals do have the advantage, 21-9, but 9 of the 21 wins have been a walk-off hit to win it. They always seem to be tight games late. A little bit low to Starling Marte. There's a look at the head-to-head matchup.
31-31 of the 62 games played for these two teams since 2013. That was an interesting shot of Mike Matheny passing one of so many thoughts to David Bell, his bench coach, either for confirmation, disagreement. David Bell, of all things, believe me, is no yes man. Yeah, you're right, Mike. Yeah, you're right, Mike. Doesn't work with him.
Fly ball, that'll get over the head of Matt Holliday, who came in then had to go back as Marte went down to get that pitch. A changeup, and it's a ground rule double.
Yeah, I'm not sure Matt would have had a play on that ball, but he did take that one step in. Once he did that, he was dead. There's the 2 steps in. Farther to retreat, but that ball didn't have a lot of hang time, so it probably would have been a ground rule double anyway. But Matt, with those 2 steps in, assured it of being that.
There's David Freese, who's 0 for 2. 3-1 Pittsburgh. Now Holiday's in left, but you told me a really interesting way that Curt Flood in center would judge a fly ball with the bill of his cap and how he used that.
Only time I've ever heard it. Play the ball off the bill of your cap. That, of course, as a center fielder, you can't really do that as a right or left fielder. But if the ball is below the bill of the cap, you either hold your spot or move in. If the ball is above the bill of the cap, you go back. With always, if it's not hit hard but high, you have a chance to recover on a ball like that. It's hit high enough for you to recover.
That's past Carpenter into left field. Here comes Marte, and he will score. David Freese drives in the 4th run for Pittsburgh today. 4-1 Pirates. His 10th RBI.
To always realize where you are as a team. I mean, the Cardinals are only trailing by 3. They came back yesterday to win that game. First to tie it. Marte, even delaying, scores easily with that great speed of his.
Harrison, strike 1. He's 0 for 2.
There are an awful lot of games that have been lost, Dan, with add-on runs. And that's the the value of having guys who know when to apply that tourniquet. Wainwright did it yesterday in the first inning. The game could have gotten out of hand early. Only 2 runs scored by the Bucks. The Cardinals tied it and then ended up winning the game.
One ball, one strike. Harrison is grounded out to second, also flied out to right. Runner goes, that's Freeze, hit and run, back to Waka. And the out is made at first base. David Freeze, by the way, yesterday playing in career game number 750 of his career. And 466 of those wearing the birds on the bat.
You know what often causes those add-on runs, don't you? Anger. You're mad at yourself. You're mad because you're in that situation. You're trailing 4-1. And anger leads to desperation. And when desperation sets in, the day is over.
You know, the Pirates a year ago could really lean on their bullpen too, which was the best in baseball.
But not this year.
No. Middle of the pack this year.
Yeah, yesterday a case in point. So you just hang in there, get them out, and then let the offense do their duty. They haven't thus far. They've been manhandled by Garrett Cole.
Michael Wacha, that pitch count at 100. This will be his last inning of work. Matt Bowman is throwing in the Cardinals pen. Cardinals, and we talked about pitch counts earlier. They do look very hard at the pitch counts of Michael Wacha. Now, he did throw 116 pitches a couple of starts ago, and this will be a walk to Mercer, and they'll deal with Stewart. And the reason being, and it makes a lot of sense, they're so cautious with that shoulder injury, the odd injury that he deals with strengthening exercises every day. But very, very cautious with Michael Wacha. It'll be his second walk, and it brings in Chris Stewart. Mentioned Jason Kendall earlier in the look-alike here. Kendall was second games caught by a Pirate. Number 1 on that list, Manny Sanguillen. 1,296. You ever had Sanguillen barbecue? Well, you need to go to Pittsburgh to get it. I'll have to entice you to go to Pittsburgh.
I didn't realize he had a barbecue place.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's good. You like it?
I do. It's good stuff. How am I going to get you to Pittsburgh? That's the bigger question. Dead silence from my partner. So away we go on this Mother's Day.
I have nothing against Pittsburgh.
You like Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It so happens the schedule is such that you can't be everywhere at once.
There's a fly ball into shallow center. Hazelbaker under it, and the Pirates strand 2. Tim is right now feverishly booking his next flight to Pittsburgh. 4-1. 20th, join fellow Fighting Illini fans and alumni. It's Illini Night. Fans purchasing this special theme ticket receive an exclusive Cards t-shirt in Illini colors. Get your Illini Night theme tickets today at cardinals.com/theme. Moss, Molina, Hazelbaker for the Cardinals as we start play here in the bottom of the 6th. This Mother's Day from St. Louis. Lone RBI off the bat of Moss. Double in the corner in right. Struck out with 2 runners on, only 1 out on the slider back in the 1st inning. He's got the look of a #1 pitcher. He pitches like it. That bulldog mentality. This guy's good. Here's a 1-2 to Moss.
After that slider, the double down the line, 4 straight fastballs this time up. There's the slider.
Held on to by Chris Stewart. 7 strikeouts for Garrett Cole. Now we've seen a lot of teams, especially in this homestand, go after Moss inside with the fastball, but they talk about in general how Garrett Cole, that nasty streak, loves to pitch inside and his ability to do so. Some guys just don't want to do it.
Well, some guys, their slot is not inside. For instance, a lot of pitchers with fastball, with cutting action on the fastball, whether it's deliberate or not, and the slider, it's the left side of the plate that they're dealing to. So it's not really a left-hander or right-handed hitter. It's that side of the plate. That's where their action on their pitches is greatest. As Garrett Cole looking toward the plate, it's that left side. You can see Stewart setting up right there. And more often than not, a guy like Cole is not going to want to come inside the right-handed batters or stay away consistently to left-handed batters. That's not a slot. And there are a lot of pitchers that have their favorite slots, and there it is again.
And the 2-1 is a high fly ball lifted to Gregory Polanco. 2 outs.
If you want to find out where a pitcher favors the plate, watch the catcher. And if you look at Chris Stewart, about 65 to 70% of the time today, he's put the sign down and moved about 6 inches with the right foot.
Happy birthday to a big Cardinals fan watching today, Jeff Schuster, the pride of Boonville, Missouri. There's Hazelbaker.
Watch Stewart. He's outside now. One of the few times today that deliberately Cole has gone outside to a left-hander.
Hit down the right field line and well hit by Hazelbaker. It is fair. Turned on that pitch.
What was the pitch? Well, Chris Stewart, his catcher, put down 4 fingers. Normally, that's a changeup. And it looked like a high changeup, fat part of the plate. Catchers don't catch too many of those.
Diaz rips it down the left field line. That's into the corner. It's another extra base hit. 11 doubles this year, which is tied for first now in the National League with Starling Marte for Aledmys Diaz. They start to stretch out in that Pirates bullpen quickly. The tying run comes to the plate.
Hazelbaker and Diaz started out after spring training as being these guys. Who are these guys? That's what the opposition would say. I can imagine meetings going over the hitters. Who are these guys?
And the same, Tim, can be said for the guy warming up, Matt Bowman.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, who is this guy? Ray Searage. Ray Searage, the pitching coach, out to talk to Cole. But with his stuff, though, I mean, you're throwing a changeup to Hazelbaker. I mean, you know, your fastball, and believe me, I don't second guess any catcher for pitch selection or any pitcher for pitch selection, because I was second guessed a lot in my life, believe me. But you know, was that a smart pitch? Was that changeup? Let's go over that. I'd have to talk to Chris after the game. You know, sometimes you put down the wrong signs. You put down the wrong fingers. If you're a pitcher, you throw the. It's almost like that's what Cole's thinking now. Look at him, shaking.
That home run, the 6th of the year for Hazelbaker. He's now second on the team.
What he did right there was about as much as he could do with the catcher. He's saying, dang it, I don't want that. You know, it's about as much as you can argue from a catcher-pitcher standpoint. It looked to me.
A 0-1 pitch to Wong. Now 0-2. Picked up his first extra base hit of the season. It was a home run against the Phillies, his lone extra base hit. He's 0 for 2 today. Grounded back to Cole, also grounded out to short. This will be the final inning of work for Garrett Cole. His pitch count at 102. And he's due up first in the top of the 7th for the Pirates. Diaz with good speed at second base. The 0-2 pitch fought off by Wong. I mean, that's a fastball, and going back to your point, in on the hands at 98 miles an hour. There aren't many guys that turn that around.
No, you're right there, Dan. Not when it's up like that, too.
Wong back to Cole and underhands to first. So Wong 0 for 3 today, but the Cardinals cut into the lead with one swing of the bat. The 6th home run for Jeremy Hazelbaker. Would it stay fair? It did. It's 4-2.
Hazelbaker, and I want to wish all the mothers out there in Cardinals Nation a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Jeremy. And on Mother's Day, he hits a home run. It's now 4-2. Pittsburgh with the lead over St. Louis as we play here in the top of the 7th. And the new pitcher in is Matt Bowman, our Chevy call to the pen. And he's been a good find for the Cardinals.
Well, he really has with that sinker and good changeup. What was Matt last year in Las Vegas? 7-16. My gosh.
Led the league in losses. But
how many guys or organizations would draft a guy with 7-16?
Cardinals
had to know something.
They loved his sinker, and they loved the fact that he was a strike thrower.
A lot of respect shown to scouting organizations. Well, we have a visitor. We have 2 visitors in the booth. Fred Bird and his girlfriend, wife. No, oh.
Sister. Girlfriend, wife, sister, daughter.
Estranged. Anything. Anything.
I think we are the first that's ever upset Fredbird to the point that they left.
Well, evidently we did. We didn't get it. I mean,
I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of happy about it.
we are completely flummoxed by Fredbird.
It's Mrs. Fredbird, right?
I thought.
Mother? I guess Mother's Day, and that's Fredbird's mom. You know, Fredbird started with Marty Hendon. Did you know that? You remember Marty?
Oh, of course I do. Are you kidding?
Marty's been here for so long.
PR guy for the Cardinals? Oh, yeah.
It was his idea to start with Fredbird after the success of the chicken in San Diego. And then we get to have one of the great moments in television history with us trying to guess the mascot with a dress. Here's John Jaso, everyone. Jaso, a 2-run homer back in the 5th. So it's got to be Fredbird's mom here on this Mother's Day.
I'll tell you, that's a good play. I was just thinking about that. If you have a straight sacrifice, the chances of Jaso getting to first probably 80% if he drops it down, because the shift was in order. And now Diaz comes up even with the baseline from second to third.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Now he backs up. Here's really a no-lose situation. If you bunt the runner to second, it's a good play. But you're probably going to get a base hit out of it. No downside.
One ball, 1 strike. The next to Jaso. Well, you pointed out earlier, you're seeing Jaso, and we saw him a lot with Tampa Bay, but starting to hit with a little bit more authority.
Yeah.
He's never really been a power guy. It's been more about on base percentage and drawing walks, pitches seen, those kind of things. The 1-2 pitch. Driven into right center field. Piscotty over, diving for it, well short of that catch. And backing up Hazelbaker, runners at second and third, and nobody out. Big day for Jaso, 2 for 3, home run and a double.
Last 3 at bats, single, home run, double for Jaso. Good try by Piscotty, too far to dive, however. Backed up nicely by Hazelbaker.
So he's a triple away from the cycle. Here's Andrew McCutchen. Seth Maness begins to throw in the Cardinals' pen. Jake Arrieta, 3 runs today, 2 earned. He's given up. This is incredible. Only 3rd time in his last 20 games to give up 3 runs in a game. And during this stretch, he's 17-0. I mean, it's just ridiculous what he's done. The Cy Young Award winner of a year ago.
What he's done and what he's doing.
Hasn't been seen since Bob Gibson. So 2 on, nobody out. Here's McCutchen. McCutchen today a single to left. He's fly to center and also lined out to left. Good pitch hit on his hands. No balls and 2 strikes. Plaza Tire Service Fox Tracks. Infield end, the 0-2 pitch. We'll do it again. Good play by Molina. Slow start, as we've talked about this weekend for McCutchen. 143 with runners in scoring position, hitting 188 his last 8 games. That can all change, though, in a hurry. Pirates will head to Cincinnati after the game today. Cardinals off day tomorrow. They'll travel out to the West Coast. Angels and Dodgers coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Those 2 series. And now time is called. McCutchen, base hit out to left. 1 run is in. They'll hold up the runner at third. That's Sean Rodriguez, who came in as a pinch runner as Joyce scores to make it a 5-2 Pittsburgh lead.
Rodriguez, the pinch runner, being held up right there, a little overly cautious by Rick Sofield, the third base coach. With Holiday in left field, the ball was not hit that well. Infield still in for the Cardinals.
Well, Tim, here's one of those scenarios that we talked about with Polanco, low ball hitter, and a sinker with Bowman. Could be a bad matchup. Polanco today is struck out, popped out, grounded out. Runners at the corners, infield in. It's still nobody out.
Go.
1-1.
Luke Brock used to say the easiest bases to steal are the bases with the infield in, because the angle of the shortstop and the second baseman. It goes true right now. You're looking out there. You could walk to second base.
McCutchen just one stolen base this year. You've got a 3-run lead. Why not?
Yeah.
Push it. Pirates, by the way, 14-0 this year when leading after 7 innings.
You see the angle of covering for the shortstop and second baseman, not great. That's why it's so easy to steal second with the infield in.
Here's a 2-1 pitch from Bowman. Not running again, and it's hit down the left field line, slicing. That's a home run. Looked to be slicing foul, and somehow it clears the wall, and an opposite field home run. Wow.
That is shocking right there. Looked like the ball tailed. Our guys in the truck are telling us it hit the foul pole. My naked eyes need clothing. They were right. Gosh. Looked like Polanco just reached his bat out there and poked the ball to left field. How in the world did that ball get out? Gosh.
Just a real free and easy, almost a lazy swing to it.
Yeah.
This will be a double switch. That'll be it for Bowman, and Maine is coming on when we come back. Our Chevy called to the pin. Them start to head for the exits. 8-2 Pittsburgh here at the top of the 7th. So Seth Maness comes into the game, his 12th appearance of the year. ERA is over 5. The Cardinals have talked about it, just trying to get him right, as he can be such a weapon out of that pen. 4 runs given up by Bowman, did not record an out. Here's Starling Marte. 8-2 Pirates. Marte, the ground rule double. It's a double switch here for the Cardinals. Manus into the ball game from the bullpen. Wong is out at second base, and Jed Jerko takes over there. And the 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bowman's ERA jumps 3 runs. 2.25 to 5.25.
A leap forward, yeah. When you don't have that many innings pitched.
Sure. The 2-2 is pulled foul. You know, at the time it was a tight game, and so what Clint Hurdle often does late in games, defensive purposes, Jaso goes out, Rodriguez comes in. But if you knew it was going to be 8-2, you'd keep Jaso in and a chance at the cycle. With a single, a home run, and a double, triple away. 2-2 the count.
I guess you've noticed, folks, in this 3-game series, these Pirates stay alive with some of the darndest swings, and one of them like that was Polanco, who just reached his bat out there with those long arms and hit the foul pole in left field. Another one, Marte. I mean, it's like, how do you pitch him to where he swings and misses? It's rare.
I don't know if you feel this way, and maybe I'm crazy for thinking this way, but I look at the Chicago Cubs, and yes, very good team, really good team, exceptional lineup. But I said this to you the other night before the game on Friday.
And I said you were crazy for thinking that.
I love the Pirates. I think this team is good.
Oh, they are good. I agree with that. But they're not better than the Cubs.
You don't think so?
No, I do not.
There's a base hit to left.
Think about that at bat. That's a tough at bat by Marte.
Well, you said it earlier. Cardinals have not been able to get the put away pitch with Marte this weekend. Tough at bat.
Nope.
It's 5 in a row to reach for the Pirates to start the top of the 7th. In steps Freese, who has an RBI single to left. He's 1 for 3. I just think before it's all said and done, the Pirates will be in the thick of this.
Oh, there's no question about that. No doubt about it. A lot of people, because the Cubs are so successful this early, a lot of them are writing off the Pirates and the Cardinals from a division standpoint and saying that their only shot would be a wild card. I think that's premature right now.
No doubt.
Yeah. It's early May.
Freese, we've seen this before, going to right.
Victor Cruz, where are you?
And the catch made by Piscotty.
Nelson Cruz. Or Victor, if you choose to be the right fielder that fateful night. But it was Nelson Cruz, who's now with Seattle. Led the, I think, majors in home runs last year, right? Certainly the American League. He's a good player, but it wasn't deep enough that night in October of 2011.
And a ball to Harrison with 1 out. There's so many things. It's cliche, but man, is it true in the game of baseball when you look this early in the year and say, well, the Cubs are just going to run away with it. There's injuries, there's slumps, there's pitchers that all of a sudden go in a funk. Taken there by Carpenter, off balance throw, nice play. No chance to get Marte, so only play for Carpenter to go across the diamond for the out.
Really a good play. Caught it before the chance of a short hop and made a strong throw on the run. You look at 1969. I remember,
man.
You know, the Chicago Cubs way out in front. New York Mets just kind of treading water. Gene Oliver's statement. Gene's nickname was Ocean Mouth. He was with the Cardinals for a long time. And a good friend to a lot of people. But he said, if the Mets catch us, I'll jump off the John Hancock building. Well, the Mets caught us, meaning the Cubs, and then went on to beat the Baltimore Orioles after beating Atlanta in the first division play, the best 3 out of 5 in 1969.
I think it's interesting too with the pressure that's in Chicago with the Cubs, unlike the pressure of any other team in baseball.
Right.
Now I think Joe Madden certainly tries to deflect a lot of that.
He's the right guy for that.
Agreed.
At that particular time, because he can deflect stuff like that. He's got believers playing for him.
The 2-2.
Those guys buy into all that stuff.
They had a mariachi band, I believe, in their clubhouse the other day for Cinco de Mayo. They were petting cubs, literally cubs, in spring training. Little baby bears. Why not?
Well, I think their nickname is inappropriate right now. They're Cubs no longer. They're Grizzly Bears.
That lineup is awfully good. And making the play, Brandon Moss off the bat of Mercer. Time to stretch on this Mother's Day. 8-2 Pittsburgh. Ages 16 and older receive an exclusive Yadier Molina guarded gnome. 200 lucky fans receive a gnome with either a gold or platinum glove to commemorate Molina's many awards. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Massage Lux Lounge and their view of this home run, or rather the catch by Stephen Piscotty. the Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And a ground ball that's hit to short, gloved by Mercer. Jerko retired, part of the double switch. So Chevy called to the pen. Kyle Lobstein takes over. 9th appearance.
Lobstein from one of the world's beautiful spots, Flagstaff, Arizona. I guess the gateway to the Grand Canyon. About an hour and a half out of Phoenix, I suppose. Highway 17.
And it's another walk to Carpenter, on base for the 3rd time. 2 walks and a single.
That'll make managers grind their teeth. Leadoff walk with a 6-run lead, or not a leadoff walk, but a walk of any kind. Unacceptable.
He's in relief of Garrett Cole, who went 6 innings today. Gave up 2 runs. Crowd today 42,441. 42441. Strike 2. Stephen Piscotty from Pleasanton, California. 2 for 3 today with a pair of singles to right. Next time I see Tim McCarver, it'll be in Washington.
Washington, yes.
Nation's
on the
capital.
26th of this month. Cardinals go in and play the Nationals 4 games. And we're on the air that Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I think the network takes over on Saturday. I believe that's an FS1 game.
Nationals, good ball club, off to a good start. Led by Dusty Baker, their manager, and the reigning MVP, Bryce Harper. And another base hit to right for Stephen Piscotty in a 3-hit day. So all 3 base hits have been to right.
And think about the 1-out walk, too. What the 1-out walk did, it opened up that hole on the right side to where Stephen, whether tangibly or otherwise, takes advantage of it, with Rodriguez playing close to the line, holding the runner, and a little trickle through. Had nobody been on, probably a playable ball by Rodriguez.
Here's Matt Holliday. Tough afternoon. He struck out. Man at second base in the 1st. At 1st and 2nd, nobody out in the 3rd, grounded into a double play, and then also grounded out in the 5th. Strike 1. Next homestand features Colorado, Arizona, and the Cubs. In a long homestand after the off day tomorrow trip to the Angels and Dodgers.
Trip to Southern California.
You got it. Final time to see the great Vin Scully, who will retire after this year, does not travel outside of the state of California. Decided to call it quits after this season. Three and one.
I think you take right here. I mean, if it's a ball, you're going to get the same pitch 3-2 that you get 3-1. So make him double up and get 2 balls in a row over.
And the bases will be loaded with 1 out. Archimedes Caminero, one of the hardest throwers in baseball, getting loose in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. 2 walks in the inning to go along with a single.
Oh, here comes Ray Searage, and pitching coaches don't normally take out pitchers. But you'd think because the 2 walks that Clint Hurdle would be mad enough to take Lobstein out right now. The only reason he's not out of the game is you got a left-hander up, Brandon Moss.
I think Clint Hurdle has the strongest jaws in baseball.
Because that gum,
man,
he exercises them enough.
I would say so. This crowd comes alive. Ball 1 to Moss.
Well, it's an ideal hitting situation now. Right now, you got a guy struggling throwing strikes, and you choose one. He's going to be careful over the middle of the plate. And that's where Brandon Moss likes it, like most major league hitters.
The 1-0. Moss, a ground ball that is foul to Rodriguez. One ball, 2 strikes. Understand that weather may be on its way here to downtown St. Louis. It's gotten windy and certainly has cooled off here at the ballpark. Here's a 1-2. That's now 8 strikes in 19 pitches that he has thrown. Moss can make this interesting. Molina on deck. The 2-2. Go to second for 1 and safe at first. A run does score. That's Carpenter. And that makes it an 8-3 Pirates lead. Now does Caminero come in to face Yadier Molina.
There's your answer.
RBI number 19 for Moss, 2 today. It's 8-3. 15th appearance. ERA is over 5. His fastball, the velocity, is roughly around 98, 99 miles an hour. He's blessed with a tremendous arm. And the Pirates trying to catch lightning in a bottle with him a year ago. He had a pretty good season out of their bullpen. It's 8-3, the chance of Yachty here at the ballpark.
Archimedes has the velocity, but does he have the strike zone?
Two outs, 2 on, 1 ball, 1 strike. Molina today has walked, grounded out, flied out. That's to the backstop. Comes back so hard. Runner from third cannot advance. Runner from first does.
Nothing Piscotty can do at third base.
No.
I mean, you're trailing by 4 runs. The game's tied. You may take a chance. But that was, I mean, Stewart, number 1, didn't even lay a glove on it. And Piscotty properly took 2 steps and said, whoa.
Molina knows all about the caroms off the back wall. Nowhere to go. The 2-2. Molina to the right side. Base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes another. Polanco couldn't get it out of the glove. 2-run score. And all of a sudden, it's an 8-5 game.
Look at this and look at that. Josh Harrison diving for that ball, trying to keep it to where Moss didn't have a chance to score. Molina comes through. Think of the 2 hits in this inning. Tricklers through the right side. One by Piscotty, the other by Molina. Funny how both walks scored in this inning, huh?
Yes,
Isn't
sir.
it funny how that happens, Dan?
Hazelbaker homered his last time. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Broadcast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Hazelbaker, a home run down the right field line back in the 6th. It's an 8-5 Pirates lead. Neftali Feliz is our Chevy call to the pen, and things have gotten a little interesting now. Strike one. Caminero, by the way, 11 games, 11 innings, 8 earned runs he's allowed. Ooh. So he's lifted after facing Molina. 2 strikes on Jeremy Hazelbaker. Short lead by Molina. Time is called.
Feliz came very close to a balk. I mean, you've got to stop at least 1001. He had that slide step and quick pitch like Molina's a fast runner.
Strikes out Hazelbaker. Well, the Cardinals were down 8-2. It's now 8-5. And still a couple of innings to go. Pirates on top as we head to the 8th. Look forward to you at the post-game show with Al Raboski. Here's Chris Stewart. The lights are now on here at the ballpark, and the first pitch by Manus is a strike. And we're underway here in the top of the 8th. 8-5. Pirates with a lead. Stewart, a double into the left field corner and a run scored. Slowly hit, gloved by Diaz. Nice play.
Nice play. Caught that ball behind him. What you do when you try to scoop up that short hop. Good play by Diaz.
The Cardinals have talked about with Diaz the errors, Tim, that he's made, about the balls at which he comes in on the routine plays. He'll take a step or two in. Those are the plays that he looks really good on. And they're trying to get him with his footwork doing that.
Yeah, he's much like Wong in that regard. Balls to Wong's right or left, he's very proficient at that. At corralling those balls almost flawlessly, because he doesn't have to rely on being tentative and thinking too much about what you're going to do. Just react.
This is Jung Ho Kang, who is 2 for 7 in the series, coming off the bench today. Those 2 hits, a pair of home runs. He's driven in 4.
You know, when you think about it, when a scout looks at a player, he is more inclined to sign a player with great reactions than he is a guy, and this is an arguable point, but than he is with a guy with good hands. They don't necessarily go hand in hand.
Because you can teach it, they feel.
Yeah. What are your reactions? What are your reactions to the ball? What do you see? Because everybody sees ground balls differently. That's why there are major league players and very good major league players, very average. They see the ball differently, whether it's a ground ball or with a bat in their hands.
Well, that's why, you know, you sometimes hear about the different combines, for lack of a better term, for players. And they first thing you do, you see how fast a guy is, and then let's see how hard he throws. And then we can teach him, we can mold him.
Or giving the confidence to react, which is what is the definition of a smart player. A smart player is a guy who's prepared himself to react on the field, not to think. Your thinking is prior to that. That's why I know I talk about it a lot, but those meetings on the mound,
sure.
I mean, you wear yourself out with minutia.
Molina thought that was strike 3. Three-two pitch. Ripped out to center field. Hazelbaker on the move. Wind may have knocked that down a bit. Some topspin too.
Yeah.
Blues are through to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Fox Sports Midwest has you covered. It will be game number 6 tomorrow. And watch the post-game show after the game. Player interviews. It's Missouri Lottery Blues Live. The post-game show on Fox Sports Midwest, and our coverage continues tomorrow after Game 6. So good luck to the St. Louis Blues. 2 outs, and here's Sean Rodriguez. Rodriguez came in as a pinch runner back in the 7th after the double by Jaso, who had 3 hits today, and stayed into the ball game at first base. 1 ball, 1 strike, lined into right field, and a base hit for Rodriguez. Two-out hit extends the inning to McCutchen. McCutchen with 2 hits today. Also lined out and flied out to deep center. Eight to 5 Pirates. They scored 3 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, and 4 in the 7th.
We talked about tack-on runs before the tack-on runs came along. That was a huge home run by Polanco. The difference in this game right now. Ball that hit the foul pole in left field.
Time is called by Molina. Oh, 1 pitch in the air. Long way to go for Piscotty near the line. Now foul territory, out of play. No balls, 2 strikes on Andrew McCutchen. I knew there was a reason why I like Sean Rodriguez so much. He's hitting .381 in his career against the Cardinals. Every time we see him, he's doing some damage.
He's a good player.
And in the National League with double switches,
more valuable than in the American League, no question. Good point.
Play the outfield, can play third, first, can run.
He's the Ben Zobrist of the Pirates.
One ball, 2 strikes. Tony Watson had been throwing in the pen for Pittsburgh. Cardinals have Diaz, Manus' spot, and then Jerko coming up. Ouch. Boy, you give McCutchen a lot of credit. He'll look by the end of the year, he'll have played in, if not all the games, maybe 2 games off, 3 games off. He answers the bell every day. It's another 1-2 and a strikeout of McCutchen. Something's not right with McCutchen's hand. That's the 2nd time today he's swung basically with one hand. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light, Raise 1-2 right now. And by your local Volkswagen dealer. 8-5 Pirates. This guy's a good one. Tony Watson, 1 strikeout shy of 300 in his career. 4th in Pirates history. Strikeouts from left-handed pitchers. Used exclusively in relief. First man we'll see is Aledmys Diaz. Randall Grichuk will pinch hit for Manus. Jed Jerko is due up third. 8-5 Pirates here in the bottom half of the 8th. 0-2 the count.
Boy, Tony Watson relentless with that fastball.
I think that's why you see Randall Grichuk as a pinch hitter.
Absolutely.
Grichuk coming off a 3 RBI day in game 2 yesterday. Diaz is 1 for 3 with a double. And he chased that pitch out of the zone. Doesn't strike out very often. That's only the 9th time this year.
Yeah, that ball way outside to Aledmys. That'll happen sometimes. Back to Watson. I mean, the pitch arsenal says he throws the fastball 75% of the time. To me, it's 95% of the time. I haven't seen him throw a breaking ball against the Cardinals this year.
No. And the Cardinals in the 40+ innings against Watson have struggled. That's ripped foul.
That's the idea. That approach by Grichuk after a couple of hits, 3 RBIs yesterday. That's why Mike Matheny making the sensible shot at the pinch hitter. Could have used Ruben Tejada, but elects for Grichuk, and in our opinion, it's the proper one.
Grichuk with a line drive into right, but there's Polanco. So Watson, 42 games against the Cardinals, a 1.22 ERA.
Wow. That's a sizable sample, too.
44 1/3 innings pitched. He's only given up 30 hits. His record stands at 3-0 against St. Louis. Jerko grounded out to short. First plate appearance, which was back in the 7th. Jonathan Broxton getting loose for the Cardinals. One ball, 1 strike on Jed Jerko.
Well, that's it. 2-1.
Two and 2. Couple of hops hit to short. And Tony Watson a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. Pirates on top. It's 8-5. Broxton takes over for the Cardinals. 8-5 in the top of the ninth. Broxton off to a solid start for the Cardinals. Cardinals, by the way, will have the top of the lineup coming up in the bottom of the ninth. It's Polanco, Marte, and Freese. A lot of things make it all come together with television. And in this particular case, our graphics machine went down. So,
oh, it did?
Yeah. I guess the mouse got tired. Here's Polanco and that really odd looking home run back in the 7th. His 4th of the year. We say odd looking because he just kind of sweeped at the ball and
yeah, poked at it.
Went down the left field line, and even he, coming out of the batter's box, wasn't sure to even run. Was just standing there. Looked like it would be a foul ball, but it carried and it hit off the foul pole. You uttered the famous lines, "I need clothes for my naked eyes." We wondered why you say naked eye, and then we said, why do you call it a foul pole when it hits it and it's fair?
Yeah, and it is.
It was the first home run that Polanco had hit against the Cardinals in his career. Bit surprising.
Bit surprising because he's hit so well and he's hit for extra base power.
One and two the count. There is weather moving in. It's gotten very cool here at the ballpark. One ball, two strikes on Polanco.
I mean, they're showing in this series how difficult they are with two strikes. I mean, they don't swing and miss very often.
That's a good pitch right there.
You know, it's a pitch designed where you want the guy to put the ball in play. But the Pirates penchant for keeping those balls out of play and fouling them off to stay alive until they do get one. We've seen it time and time again in this series.
Two and two. Cardinals will face Mark Melancon, looking to the bottom of the ninth. 2-2 the count on Polanco. Saw Melancon in game one of this series. 51 saves a year ago. And a strikeout of Polanco. Pretty good battle right there between Broxton and the Pirates right fielder.
It really was, and Broxton tires him out. Finally makes a pitch that just shreds the outside corner.
Starling Marte, ground rule double in the 6th and a single in the 7th. 2 for 4 today. There he goes again. Marte with extra bases. And a 3-hit day and a second double. He now has 13 doubles this year to lead all of baseball. David Freese, an RBI single back in the 6th.
You mentioned it yesterday, Dan, that the ankle problems of David Freese have more or less disappeared. A lot of rehab pain in both ankles. Had a serious car accident. And now he looks like a different runner.
Really does.
He's much faster and gets down the line much better. I didn't pay any attention to it until you said that.
And one of the issues he had here in St. Louis was just moving laterally. You know, the Cardinals would position him many times near the line, and it wasn't because of what the numbers said, it was because of his movement.
Yes.
And he's talked about how he feels much better in that regard. Diaz puts it away for the out. Marte stays put at second base. Marte now is 6 for 8 against Jonathan Broxton with 2 home runs and 2 doubles. Just joining us, really nice ovation for David Freese in the first inning, or rather the second inning, when he was announced and batted second in that inning. And again, Molina going out in front of the plate to give him time to receive that ovation. Great moment. Josh Harrison hitless in 4 plate appearances today. Fly ball out to left field and trapped by Holiday. Marte will score, misses the cut. Harrison takes second. Well, they usually say, Tim, that if you get your closer up and he warms up and gets loose, he's coming into the game. But now you have a 4-run lead. You wonder if Clint Hurdle would sit him down.
Well, I don't know what Hurdle would do. I know what I would do. That's bring him in the game. Holiday smothered it. Now throws home. Should have gone to second. Once you miss the ball, you're not going to get Starling Marte. So you might as well throw the ball to second base and prevent the runner from going to second. Matt didn't.
So 2 outs, man in scoring position for Jordy Mercer. Two balls and no strikes. A 9-5 lead for Pittsburgh. They did not score until the 5th inning. They picked up 9 since that time. The 2-0 pitch. Now 3-0. Three and one. Three and two. Well, with the score now 9-5. Nothing better than to potentially crack your head open. Be careful. Makes me nervous.
Yeah, but you are not he.
That little guy is.
You want to rule the world when you're 8 and think you can immediately.
The 3-2. And he walked him. Now the other kid, I don't know if it's his brother or whomever, he's just mesmerized right now. Either that or he's coming down from the sugar that's been put into his body from innings 1 through 4. So here's Stewart with 2 outs.
I might have missed my nap. I think I'll just take one right on this bar. Jonathan trying to be too fine, and that's what happens when guys like Marte and Harrison hit the first pitch. Now all of a sudden you think, oh boy, now I've got to try to work a corner. You end up walking Mercer, and now it's 1-1 count to Stewart.
Little low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Yeah, that kid is checked out. Uh-oh.
Where's
now he's
my
biting
pillow?
the glove.
There's one.
Into right field, coming on and dropping in front of Piscotty. Throw to the plate, not in time. Another run scores to make it a 10-5 Pittsburgh lead.
Harrison can fly. These guys can really run the bases. They are a very fast team with Marte, Harrison, McCutchen, Polanco, Mercer.
The pinch hitter will be Francisco Liriano. Struck out again, double digits of Cardinals on Friday night. So 2 outs and 2 on. 10-5. Ryan Vogelsong begins to throw in the pen for Pittsburgh. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Puts it in play. Diaz backhands. And a force play at second base. The Pirates with 2 more runs add to their lead. It's 10-5 Pittsburgh. These managers may pick up their first World Series ring. Joe Maddon lost in 2008 when he was with Tampa Bay. Clint Hurdle was swept by the Boston Red Sox in 2007. He was with Colorado. Mike Matheny took the Cardinals to the World Series against the Red Sox in 2013.
Yeah, Clint Hurdle also was on that Kansas City Royals team back in 1980 as a player. And then he was a coach, the manager of the Rockies in 2007. And then a batting instructor for somebody recently.
Texas,
that's right, in 2011.
And Mike Matheny was a part of the 2004 Cardinals that were swept by the Red Sox as a player.
Yeah.
Now I was thinking that Joe Maddon was the coaching staff of the Angels.
When they were in the playoffs a bunch of times.
And then when they beat the Giants in the World Series too, I thought he may have been a part of that staff. He was the bench coach for Mike. He was the bench coach. Yeah, for Mike Scioscia.
That was 2002.
That series went 7 games. It's Carpenter hits the line and it's touched by a fan, so that will be a double for Carpenter.
Chalk it up, Matt.
Oh, come on, give him the souvenir. It's 10-5. Really?
You gotta be kidding me. You're gonna take it from me now? Were you a radio buff when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Remember the line, on the line with Considine? Do you remember that?
No.
Huh? It was back in, well, it was the late 40s, so you're too young for that. On the line with Considine. I think it was Tim Considine who was the radio announcer.
Yes.
Did the news.
Yes.
Right? But you were on the line. Well, then it was last ball hit was on the line with Carpenter.
Well, I think we need to pressure everybody that saw that gentleman there. Go ahead and text him and tell him that Dan and Tim are in the booth and we're saying that you need to give that ball to the young fan that gentleman wanted to hand it to.
There you go. What happened?
So I guess his day is through too. He'll hit the showers. Here's a 1-1 Piscotty. He's had a 3-hit day. Make it a 4-hit day.
Get Melanson up. I say that because of the 3-run rule that all of you may be familiar with. The Pirates are leading by 5 now. If they get another base hit, well, they're encroaching on that 3-run rule that would give, should Melanson come in the game and hold the Cardinals, then he would get credit for a save, of course. That's why he's back up. You know, you just wonder why Sean Rodriguez would be holding anybody on in this situation. You're in the 9th inning. You're ahead by 5 runs. And he's trying to, the reason that he's holding Piscotty on is to prevent him from stealing. What difference does it make? He should be behind him and in the hole. If Holiday hits one in that area, then Clint Hurdle's kicking himself, and so is Rodriguez.
One ball, one strike on Holiday. The long, strange trip it's been for Ryan Vogelsong. started with the Pirates.
Really has.
Rediscovered his form and location with pitches when he went overseas to Japan, and also discovered a split finger pitch too.
And that was what that pitch was to Holiday. He deserves a lot of credit for perseverance.
Vogelsong against the Cardinals. You may recall in the 2012 postseason, he was 2-0, 14 innings, 2 earned.
He was zeroed in on the Cardinals too.
Yes, he was.
That inside corner, we talked about slots earlier. It was that right side of the plate, that right lane, right off Chris Stewart's glove. That pitch right there.
So he strikes out Holiday. By the way, it's the 3rd career 4-hit game for Stephen Piscotty. Juan Nicasio beat out Vogelsong for the 5th spot in the rotation for the Pirates. So Vogelsong then shifted to the bullpen as their long man. So here is Brandon Moss.
We just found out someone texted the truck, a guy we know very well, texted the truck and said it was Bob Considine, not Tim Considine. And he's right. That guy, by the way, was Joe Buck.
Joe just texted me.
What'd he say?
Here's all the info you want.
Tell Tim it was Bob. They don't call you Bob, do they, Tim?
No, that's not what he said. He sent all the information.
Robert Bernard Considine. Born in 1906, died 1975 at age 68 in Manhattan. Resting spot, the Gate of Heaven Cemetery in Hawthorne, New York. Went to Gonzaga College High School and George Washington University. Was a journalist and author. Now remember him on that old standing Philco that we had in the late 40s.
You missed the relatives. He's got a couple of nephews too.
Yes, he does. How about this? Well, the Cardinals are one runner away from putting the tying run at the plate.
So that'll be it for Ryan Vogelsong, and Clint Hurdle will go to his bullpen. Melanson has been up a couple of times, and he'll come into the ball game. 9 in save opportunities. ERA just under 3. Coming off a 51 save campaign a year ago. 10-5 Pittsburgh, bottom of the 9th, 1 out, bases loaded. And Yadier Molina will be the hitter. Jeremy Hazelbaker was wearing those spikes that Melanson is wearing today. It's pink, it's yellow, a little splash of purple in there. It just says Mother's Day, Tim. It just says Mother's Day.
Well, that's nice.
Very nice. Molina base hit, 2 RBIs back in the 7th. Flied out to right, grounded out to short, and also walked.
It's one of those interesting save opportunities where the tying run is in the on-deck circle, even though the Pirates are 5 runs up. That's our understanding. So if Melanson gets out of it for the Pirates and the Cardinals fail to at least tie, Melanson gets credit for a save.
He's 13 for 14 in save opportunities against the Cardinals. ERA under 2. Grounder to third. This could be 2. Step on the bag, throw to first, a pick, and oh, what a pick by Rodriguez, and that ends the game.
Well, that's a dandy double play to end it. David Freese stepping on the bag, a low throw at first base, and Rodriguez with a tremendous scoop. Watch it again.
Well done on both ends.
Yes.
Our Budweiser player of the game is John Jaso, triple away from the cycle. Pirates head to Cincinnati. Off day tomorrow for the Cardinals.
Lose 2 out of 3 to this ball club. I'll tell you, this ball club, in my opinion, is on the verge of being a red-hot team, the Pirates.
So on to the post-game show. Hungo and Jim Hayes standing by this Mother's Day. Pirates win it. They take 2 of 3.